The iPad Pro is the most exciting computer in a long time. A thin sheet of glass as big as a laptop screen, modular enough that you can add a keyboard or a mouse, or even bundle it together and complete it with an Apple Pencil. It sounds like the ultimate functional machine, but then you realize if you add it up, this plus this plus this costs more than a Mac. And that's all good until you start to use it, and then you realize, is this actually worse? So join me as we see why the iPad isn't a laptop, and if not, then who is it actually for? So, can an iPad be a laptop? This is sort of a timeless question that has been asked over the years, and in my time using it, the correct answer is yes. But the correct answer is also no. Or even maybe. Really, it depends, because it comes down to your workflow. For some people, this is the ultimate all-you-could-ever-need device, and for most others, this is nowhere near a laptop. And I get Apple's idea here. It's not crazy. You get this super thin but super large sheet of glass that feels amazing in the hand, something that feels like unlimited potential, because you can pick it up and just browse the web, or you can set it flat and use it to take notes or to draw. You can get a folio and you can stand it up wherever. You can set it down at any angle, which is great for typing on the screen. Even add a keyboard and make it feel exactly like a laptop. Like, if this thing can do great multitasking, it really does become a modular, more portable version of a Mac, and that's kind of exciting. So they take a product with this sort of unlimited potential. On one hand, some people call it a laptop replacement. On the other hand, it's just a big iPhone. But that middle ground creates a huge opportunity. The iPad is one of the slimmest Apple devices that you can get, with a full 13-inch screen powered by an M5 chip. You're getting support for external displays, devices like keyboards, trackpads, webcams even, but it also has some advanced tech that you wouldn't find on something like a Mac, like the ability to add cellular for working anywhere, or the fact that this device has an accelerometer to gauge speed and distance, or a gyroscope that can tell the exact tilt of it, or even a LiDAR scanner that can do medical-grade 3D scans, which is great for a lot of technicians or workers that just can't do that with a laptop. So, if you have the best tech from both a Mac and an iPhone packaged into something portable but modular, it makes perfect sense that you would want it to replace your Mac. But it's only when you start to use it like one that things start to go wrong. The minute you wake the iPad, you're greeted with a desktop that isn't really a desktop at all. On a Mac, you have free roam to place files, widgets, folders, anywhere you want. On an iPad, you get a grid of apps and widgets locked to this grid with random space in between. No folders, no other real customization aside from this. But the bigger problem here is the multitasking. iPad has 3 solutions for this. First, use it in full screen like you expect an iPad to do. Everything uses the full screen, or you can place apps into split screen to use multiple apps at once. Nothing stacks, and that makes something like dragging a file kind of difficult to navigate. Or use Stage Manager, which sort of creates endless desktop spaces that pair apps together into their own space. So open a couple of apps and then tap the side to move between them. A confusing way to multitask, if you ask me. Or finally, windowed apps, a more familiar desktop experience where you can open an app in full screen, then you can resize it into a smaller size of your choice. Then every app you open is first full screen, and again, you have to resize it, making something as simple as opening a second app have multiple taps and drags to disrupt your workflow. You can simply drag multiple apps into view from the dock, which seems to open them into a window instead, but this only works when you actually have an app open in a windowed mode first, because otherwise it just drags the icon off the dock. A really inconsistent experience. But that's the whole situation. Small actions take an extra tap or an extra swipe, or just an extra thought of how the action only works in like certain scenarios. But really, this is just the beginning, because then we get to the file management. Apple has some software improvements to the Files app, but it's still just not great, because you can dress it up to look similar to a Mac, but then you try to use it. And it's simple things like opening a document from an email, and it just doesn't save properly locally. You can manually save it, but then it opens the Files app and you have to navigate to the right folder every single time. So if I want to edit a document, and then I just want to send it back on a Mac, I open the email, save, and send it back. On an iPad, I open the document, click Save, opens Finder, choose a location to save it to, go back to the document for edits, then I can send a new email from the share sheet, or I can go back to the email, then return to Finder, navigate to the file, and drag it over. You get where I'm going with this. It's a lot more work to accomplish like one simple thing. And then for the times you just want to drag a file around the system, like some apps work great, others really just don't. It's not like a standardized experience across apps where and how to drag files. Sometimes they just fade away, which is really frustrating and you have to start all over again. But even if I could make that work, I wanted to keep my downloads folder pinned in my dock like on a Mac to drag files and make that easier. And while I did make that work, in order to do it, I have to drag it into the dock specifically beside the app library button or it doesn't work, or right click, and then you have to know to scroll down in that pop-up window to reveal an add to dock button. Not exactly easy. So those are examples of just some of the ways that your iPad holds the laptop experience back. Like as of this year, you still can't play two audio sources at once. Like I go to play something else and it just stops playing what I was playing before. Or you're doing something in the background and for some reason iPad hates that. Sometimes files that are uploading just stop uploading partway through, or apps will just time out. Why can't I just leave apps fully open in the background? Like why is that not easy yet? But okay, fine, I can't do that. Maybe I can just download an app from Safari that handles things better. Nope, can't download unsigned software. You can only get apps directly from the App Store, and that kills so many different things. Like one example, I use a Stream Deck with my Mac for quick access to things, but that just doesn't work on an iPad. And if I wanted to plug anything else in, there's just one USB-C port and nothing else, making me need to get an adapter to just plug two things in at once. Because this is iPad OS, there's also no real terminal support, so that cuts back any bulk actions or really anything advanced that you might want to do. And why is it still a thing that iPad doesn't have multi-user support? Like what if I want one iPad for my household? There's so many limits without clear reasons why those limits exist. But then I thought, okay, what if I gave it a real try? To ditch the Mac and use the iPad? Well, the first step would be to make it feel like a Mac. So the first step on this journey is a real keyboard, one that looks and feels exactly like a MacBook Pro. This is today's sponsor Brydge with their new Brydge Max 13. With an all-aluminum build, the iPad magnetically snaps into place to feel exactly like a Mac. It comes with a full-sized and backlit keyboard, which is really responsive to type on and has a full-sized function row built in. Plus, there's also a glass trackpad that's not plastic and also supports all of iPadOS multi-touch gestures and swipes that you're used to. If you're into tech, you might remember Brydge for their premium Apple accessories and keyboards. But what you're not familiar with is that these now come with a 270-degree max view hinge, which lets your iPad lay almost flat, which is perfect for drawing or signing a document. It goes from a laptop-like hinge up to a floating design. You can flip it all the way backward like a kiosk type experience, or flip it all the way down to a stable viewing angle, and then go even further down to lie nearly flat. It is the difference that truly makes the iPad go from feeling like a laptop to a truly adaptable hybrid machine that it was meant to be. The new Brydge Max comes in two different color options perfectly matched to your iPad, including the graphite black or silver options, and it's built for both sized iPad Pros and Airs, including both the 11-inch and the 13-inch models. If you're looking for a keyboard that offers the most premium experience with the most range and flexibility, this is the keyboard to get. Highly recommend it. And now that we have the keyboard and it looks like a Mac, there's some things that I would immediately do to make that process better. The first thing I would do is going into the files, finding my downloads folder, and immediately putting that into my dock. To do this, you can drag it just to the left of the app library. Anything you download immediately goes into that folder, and it's a way to sort of keep your files accessible in the dock at all times, making things like downloading a file, signing it, and sending it back much easier because you can drop it right into the email from your dock. Next, also in the Files app, connect every cloud service that you have. Edit and toggle on every single app that you have, make sure that you're signed into them. This makes the File app sort of the central hub for everything, which is important to make it feel like a computer. I use this for my cloud storage and even my local NAS storage, which works really well. Next, when you're opening an app, it's going to open full screen by default, but if you have windowed apps open rather than tapping the app, you can drag it onto the screen immediately to open it as a windowed view instead. So to make things easier, any app you plan on using in multitasking should ideally be in your dock so that you can just pull it into view rather than launching it in full screen and needing to resize every single time. Also, get used to the keyboard shortcuts on iPad. Spending just a short amount of time getting familiar with this lets you do things way faster and makes it feel much more like a computer. There used to be a command guide on iPad where you just held the command button. Now the only way to access it is Settings, Accessibility, Full Keyboard Access, and then the Command Tab H will bring it up, but this really isn't practical anyway. So now the easiest way to do this is to open an app and then go up to the menu bar at the top, where each action now shows a shortcut tied to them. In most cases, they're the same as Mac shortcuts, but it's just good to know. While we keep trying to compare it, this iPad isn't a Mac, but in some cases, it's actually better. Like, because this is a touchscreen, it automatically gets advantages. Touch is just built into the OS, so getting used to the gestures is super important. A simple 4-finger swipe across the screen to slide into the next app in your app switcher is so satisfying. And then pinching the screen with 4 fingers lets you close your apps instantly. Tapping with 3 fingers brings up a menu of quick actions in any app that you're using. But you can also go a lot further in ways that people don't know about. Even just grabbing an app and flinging it to one side puts it automatically into that split screen, which is so satisfying. It's little things like this that make it a lot more interactive and unique over something like a Mac. Then there's Slide Over, where you can just open full screen apps and then drag another app into this tray that slides out of view when you don't need it. So if I'm working and I want to make a change to the music, just throw it into the Slide Over, and it's a really handy thing to have when I need it. So even if it's not a Mac, it's still a fun device to use with some advantages depending on how you're actually using it. So at the end of the day, can an iPad really be a Mac replacement? Really, for 95% of basic tasks, yes, but it will be harder. Browsing the web, responding to emails, most iOS and iPadOS apps are great, even if they sometimes require more taps, more navigation than on a Mac. And it's only when you get down into the specifics that it creates friction. Downloading a temporary file to mark it up and send it back, moving files between folders and dragging them around the screen. Apple clearly sees the iPad as a companion device, which is why rather than making it a Mac, they do things like universal control, making the companions better companions instead of replacing each other entirely. Like, to sum it up, in a race, depending on the task, one will be a clear winner, but both will still get you to the finish line. The iPad will always run iPadOS and the Mac will always run macOS. Really, you should be using the tool that's the best for the job. If you want to take notes, drawing, or creative, anything that's using an Apple Pencil, pick the iPad and do the things like getting a keyboard and trackpad combo to make it even more useful for everything else. But if you know a computer is needed, just go with a Mac instead. If you have questions about how I'm using my iPad today, leave those comments down below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.